going to talk about that. 2 weeks ago, she was talking about the governor there in Hawaii that needs to be impeached. And there's like a movement to get him impeached. And she's, pushing that agenda, which needs to happen, really. So just like in the, like we were discussing just before the show, Michelle, before the Maui directed energy weapon attack, he started implementing laws that usurped the laws of Hawaii. And he just recently did the same thing again before the storm came in. And the storm was like obviously manufactured. And we can talk about it. You had some great guests on. I saw your last show. We had a great guest on that walked through that. I've been walking through this weather manipulation, and I'm glad to see that you are. So let's jump in. And thanks so much. Mahalo for coming on.
Yeah, mahalo for having me, and aloha everyone who's watching. Definitely, I've been working on what's called an impeachment inquiry because Hawaii state these islands cannot impeach the governor. We need 2/3 of the legislative body to impeach him. And the reason for impeachment, you guys, is he has way overstepped his boundaries of his office. He that's my website, Blossom Inner Wellness. You can find it on YouTube and Rumble. Finally, I still have 1 strike on YouTube. I did have 2 strikes, and I was just going to Rumble because they've been censoring me since the Lahaina fire. So I had 500,000 views after this one video where I was talking with the arborist and sharing how the trees weren't burning, the palm trees weren't burning, but the cars were melted, their engine blocks were melted, houses were completely disintegrated into nothing. And then after that, I just kept getting blocked by YouTube. So Blossom Inner Wellness is where you can find my YouTube channel. The impeachment inquiry of the governor, I've sent it 3 times to the legislative body. And basically what this man is doing is he is suspending laws without the legislative body. He has suspended for this storm. Prior to the storm, he did 2 emergency proclamations, suspended over 40 laws prior to this storm coming in. You guys, he has an emergency proclamation for there's too many deer in Maui. So the entire state is under an emergency because there's too many deer on Maui. There was another emergency proclamation he did for Uncle Billy's Hotel that needed to be demolished in Hilo. So the entire state was under an emergency proclamation because of one hotel that needed to be demolished, suspending laws, suspending the bidding laws. So who's getting the contract? I was trying to look that up. And then also he's suspending state procurement. Almost every single emergency proclamation I've looked at has suspending state procurement rules, which is the money. He's suspending how much money can be. So what happens is after a project, after a year, if the money isn't spent for that project, the funds go back to the state. He suspended that law. He keeps suspending, so many laws. We're still in a state of emergency because of the wildfire that happened 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. We're still in a state of emergency. 69 laws. He suspended 69 laws in that emergency proclamation. And there's still 341 permits that have not been issued to rebuild in Lahaina. So he's gone way over the top.
Wow. No kidding. Wow. So the impeachment, how's that going to go? Maybe other states can, get insights from you for doing this. I mean, Gavin Newsom should have been impeached long ago. Same situation, really. All the things have been happening. This is one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on, talk about this, because the things that happened in Maui and they got away with, they did in California. Now, I watched the process in the COVID, craziness, where Australia would have like these crazy laws they implement. And I was like, there's no way they would do that in the United States. And then they do it in the United States. And then I watched the process. They do it in Australia, get away with it, and they do it in America. So they did the directed energy weapon in Maui, got away with it, and they did it in California.
So
they're going to do this again, guys.
Yeah, they're going to keep getting it. Yeah. They're going to keep doing it. That's why my Maui book, Great Maui Land Grab, has 21 LA fire oddities as well. It's in the 4th edition. I could actually do a 5th edition because there's so much stuff that's happening right now. Still going on because of that, like deaths. The deaths, I don't want to get too far off topic, but there's been 3 deaths. I believe it's actually 4 deaths in the Lahaina fire surviving camps, and they're not being reported. So something's going on in the Maui camps. That is, one 16-year-old boy died in his sleep. One man had a heart attack. One person was found, and I hate to say this, decomposing in their home because nobody was checking on these people. But why are they dying? And then I have a friend of mine who actually contacted the Maui, the police department, and asked, have that one death that was the person was decomposing, has anybody reported on that? And the person said, there's been nothing nefarious that's happening in the fire surviving camps. And she's like, that wasn't my question. So obviously there's something nefarious happening in these camps, and these people have lost everything, and now they're dealing with this. There was even a fire in the Maui, the Lahaina fire survivor camps. And the fire department chief of the fire department, he basically wrote a report and said they don't know why it happened. And a friend of mine was like, you cannot write a report and say you don't know why a fire happened in the Lahaina fire survivor camp. Like, people need to know how the fire happened. Like, this is not okay. So a lot of things are happening, but I do want to share, you guys, this is coming for all of us, and it's coming through our general plans. It's coming through our general plans that we need to look at. ChatGPT has been really helpful with looking at bills that go against the Constitution, and also looking at your own general plan. Wherever you're at, go to ChatGPT. It's so simple. And you just put in, what constitutional amendments is my county's general plan violating? And it will come up. This is what I did on Big Island. And we have been fighting our general plan. Okay, you guys, let me just tell you, the Big Island usually has a general plan that's between 50 to 70 pages long. It's about 10 years of a plan, and it usually has 8 to 10 goals. This last year, we have a plan that's almost 300 pages long with almost 400 goals. We have been fighting it every single month because this plan goes, no more diesel, no more gas, all electric vehicles. I mean, you can't even imagine what that's going to do to an island. I don't even want to bring that's a whole nother topic, but it had so many things. It wanted to change important ag land into natural land, which would actually put a noose around our farmers to have to jump through all the hoops of what does natural land mean. So it had so many things. We've been fighting it. Finally, I actually met with the mayor for an hour. He gave me an hour of his time. He's paused the general plan. Then it had to keep going through the county council. We kept going to meetings. We actually met with the chair of the general plan of office. She actually redesigned the plan. She redesigned it and brought it back down to 60 pages with like eight goals, I think it has. And we're just like, thank God. But here's the thing. It hasn't fully gone through yet. And we have to go to another meeting on April 7th because the lawyers of the planning department are actually fighting her draft. And they're wanting the county council to rubber stamp that 300-page UN agenda. United Nations is actually written into our plan. The words, I couldn't believe that people aren't talking about that. So I just want to share, you guys watching, go to ChatGPT, ask it, what constitutional amendments is my general plan violating, and start going to your county council meetings. That's our power. And that's really it. That's our power.
Very good. And I did that when I was living in Florida. I did that for my county, and they didn't have anything nefarious at that point going on. So, but I know a lot of them do. Now in Hawaii, they have, aligned with Brazil. Brazil is doing the 15-minute cities.
Yeah. And
they have a company that's basically running that and so forth. And Brazil is extremely corrupt. Lula was not nominated. I don't think he's got inserted, probably like your governor. And there's corruption in the judicial there in Brazil. So they have this idea, and Hawaii's linked with this company in Brazil that's doing the 15-minute city stuff. Cameras everywhere, and surveillance. You won't be able to go outside your 15-minute city. So Hawaii is all on board with that. And of course, they wanted to do that also in the LA area where there was burnings. They had also the same type of agenda. So wherever this is trying to be implemented, this is where they're going to come in and destroy the communities. Now, where you're at on the Big Island, Hawaii, I was listening to what you and your guests were talking about, and he covered the weather modification stuff, just like I've been covering it. There are ships that have weather modification on it. They create these storms. I said that was happening in last year, and I predict all the storms. I predict what we're going to do. I predicted the storms last year, and I said where they would hit, how big the hurricanes would be. They did get that big, but I said, hey, these ships are creating them. I used to be in SEAL Team 6. We used to go on board ships that were, we trained and all this kind of stuff on cruise ships, boarding them. And you've seen a lot of the Navy SEALs, now they show it where they're fast roping on ships. I said, why don't some good SEALs, because I know there's a lot of, bad military out there, just take a little tour out there and see what you find. And we didn't have those storms last year at all. None of them. Of course, they got big, but they never hit land. So this is something like you, I, and other people, we bring awareness to this, and then it gets stopped because there's a lot of military on Hawaii. Boy, maybe that's why they want to control Hawaii so much, the bad military. The good guys that are there in Hawaii, because I promise you, I was in the good guy side of military, and sometimes we had to work around the bad guys. We knew who they were. And the same thing when I was in the CIA. So you're trying to help everybody see that we have to work around these evil political types. Tell us a little bit more about what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to share some videos, because I do have videos of the ship that do have this technology that creates weather. And I'd love to show you that in a second. But yes, we're working around it because I started standtogetherhawaii.com. And basically, I send out emails of actions to take. I can't do this by myself. We need numbers, you guys, but we have it because there are so many people that want freedom, that see what's happening, that don't know what to do. What you can do is through your legislative is you got to have numbers bombarding these people. So this is why I've sent the impeachment inquiry. And here's the thing, it's just an inquiry. It's not because the people, which is totally against the Constitution, we don't have the power to impeach. But here's the thing, you got to look at your bills that are coming down the pipe, and you need numbers. So create your own website or join a website that is where people are taking action together. This is our only power, is action. And I do want to say something before I forget. The reason for the constitutional government, you guys, the reason we have 3 branches of government, which is the legislative body, which creates the laws, the executive branch, which is the governor, and he actually is the one that enforces the law, and then the judiciary branch, which is the interpretation, the courts. That's the reason why we have these 3 branches of government, is because of something that happened in 1689. In 1689, you're going to love this, King James II was suspending laws. He was suspending the parliament laws. He was changing the laws. And there was a revolution called the Glorious Revolution that booted him out and put in, it was Mary Tudor, and I think it was King Edward. But that was in 1689. And the very reason for our constitutional government was because the king was trying to suspend laws. So they put forth a proclamation called a Bill of Rights proclamation that the king cannot suspend, change, or ignore laws of parliament. That was actually the entire reason for our constitutional government. So by our Hawaii governor suspending laws, he's actually going against the entire reason for the structure of our constitutional government. But I do want to go and show you, if I could do a screen share, show you guys.
Yeah, tell everybody the stuff you're going to share. I highly recommend you guys come over to Michelle's YouTube and watch this Hawaii storm manufactured. The deep information, great slideshow. You guys are going to love it. You're going to get a lot of information on it. Go ahead, Michelle.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that because, like I've said, I've been blocked right and left by YouTube. I mean, I didn't have any new subscribers for like 2 years. I get like 1 or 2, and then it was crazy. But I really appreciate that.
I look at your subscriber numbers. You're like, you should be way up there. And I was like, what's going on? So I got to promote you. Come on, let's go.
I know. Guys. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was after I've been blocked. I've had a strike on YouTube for almost 2 years. There's every 90 days I get another strike. They just keep striking. And then from December to February, I had 2 strikes. So I barely posted on YouTube because they were trying to take it down. So, but let me share you. Let's see. Oops, wrong one. This one here. Show you guys. Share screen. What's a little bit on the YouTube or the video that Jaco was talking about. So this first is a NASA engineered rain cloud maker. This is actually there was a reporter that's talking about it. It makes clouds, and if you can see, this is the reporter. He gets so excited about this, and this is on land. This can be on a back of a truck. Actually, let me show you where that one is, because that one is so good, and I wanted to show it to you because of the you can see the military. Oh, I can't find it here. There it is. Okay, that's the ship. That's the one that creates the clouds from the ship.
Yeah.
But there's also this one here, and you see the military guys you were just talking about. Yeah. The military, and then the clouds pushing against the wind, and then it goes with the wind. So it's like this has been available, this technology, for a very, very long time. Let me show you guys the storm that we just had. Our storm, and I'll share with you guys what happened with this storm. But it's kind of hard to see a little bit, but let me show you. I'm going to pause it for a second and go back a little bit, because the islands, you're going to see the islands are right here. And in a moment, you're going to see the cloud. It just starts. The storm just absolutely starts. Pause it for a second. So right here is where Big Island is. And then right offshore, you're going to see this red and black means super intense storm. And it goes right over the island, my island, Big Island. I'm on the Big Island. And right there, it's right there. And it just shows it that it's black, it's red, it's intense right there. It's just generating right offshore. That's not normal.
And right that big red blotch right there is where you're at, Hawaii.
Yep, right there. Right, exactly. That's my island. And the side. I want to show you Texas, because this shows it really, really well. You're seeing right here from the top down, the weather's coming from the top down, and you're going to see an explosion right here, which looks like an explosion, but it's the storm. This is last year, the flooding in Texas last year. Boom, right there. And it goes against the wind. All of that, boom. It's just intense. And then it comes back down. It's all against the wind. That's impossible. And then it starts to come back down again. And this is Texas flooding. This was the absolute insane flooding that they had. Right. That was a complete attack on the people. And then this one is Fosse, a thunderstorm that happened in 2017. But right here, the storm just generates right there. Then the intensity of it, and also I'm going to pause it for a second, because you can kind of see there's a little line. Bruce Douglas of Maui Community Investigation, he talks about it, and the line, the little dot, it's like a V shape. It shows you where it's coming from, and it just goes right over Oahu. This is Maui here. This is Oahu, and it just engulfs the islands. You can kind of see the V. Right there, you can see the V. That means it's stemming from right in that area.
Yeah.
And he said that it's moving like a ship moves.
Mm.
And it just goes all the way over all the islands. It's like, boom, let me just take out the Hawaiian Islands. And then this one's super interesting down here. This is my island here. This is the storm coming in. You're going to see it get big, and then it'll dissipate, and then it'll grow again right over the big island. It's just, so it's there, it's coming in, and then it'll dissipate, and then it'll start again right over big island. So it's gone. Okay, oh, it looks like it's going away, but no, it's coming right back, and then right over my island it goes, boom.
Wow.
And then it engulfs Maui.
Mm.
So there's those, and then there's also, I think, okay, that's the one I showed you for that. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to share with your audience, because this is an attack that was there was a Weather Modification Act of 1976 that Congress literally has weather modification technology, that they actually brought in the act from for weather modification. They have thousands of weather modification patents. The first patent, you guys, was in 1891. Yep. To produce rain. 1891, over 100 years ago. They've been working. It's been here for a very long time. Very long time.
Yeah, that was back during Tesla time frame, and they used it in New Jersey to destroy a town, and that was the Navy. So and of course, it looks like there's naval elements that are there. Now imagine a super tanker that's been converted. So normally it carries oil, but it could carry all the fuel necessary to create these clouds and create these storms. And you have multiple ones, not just one, but multiple ones that are doing this at the same time. It's devastating. This is what many of us have been talking about for a long time. The directed energy weapon for a hurricane, usually you have to have really warm water. So directed energy weapons will come in, and you can see it warming the water ahead of the hurricane. And then you have the HARP system, basically creates, spin and so forth. That's probably what was happening there too. Your guest was talking about $1 billion HARP system that they can tow out, and they usually put it right there in Honolulu. Yeah, right there in the naval base probably. So they just tow it out and then create these weather patterns and so forth. It's crazy.
Yeah, and here's the sad thing, we have in Oahu, Waialua, that's one of the largest agricultural lands. Yeah. And it's completely flooded. And there's a lot of corporations and companies that actually own a lot of that on LLCs and different proposals for construction there, which is really interesting. But that whole area now it's like 2 or 3 feet underwater. And that's what's happened there. Over here, we've had, it wasn't as bad on my side. I actually live up Malco, which is up the mountain. But some places not too far have been absolutely destroyed. A friend's car in his garage actually got taken downstream. His whole place is just destroyed. Yeah. And that's, and so it's like people go, and I'm always like, what can we do? I'm an action person. That's why I am doing the impeachment inquiry of the governor. And I do want to share a little bit more about that. What we can do, you guys, and I don't know the answer to this weather modification. I think it might be some type of bill or something that goes through legislation around weather modification technology being used here. I'm not sure what the answer is, but I do know, and I know that you believe in this too, that there is a reason why each one of us is here. And there's going to be something that shifts this with enough people sharing this information. There's going to be something where somebody knows how to stop this. Because I was hoping that when I wrote my book, Great Maui Land Grab, I was hoping it would stop the fire attacks, but it didn't. And it's not going to until there's got to be a shift. There's got to be enough people knowing what's happening that they can't do it anymore, that somebody has an answer of how to stop this. And then my last comment is follow your guided intuition. If you feel you're in danger, you need to go someplace else, do it. Don't hesitate.
Yeah. So yeah, it does make a difference. Someone's thanking us for, you spreading the truth. When will it stop? So when will it stop is when we get more involved. That's the only way it's going to stop. If they see that we're not going to impose on them or impinge their methodologies and so forth, they're going to continue, and they're going to increase it until we wake up and say, hey, what are you doing? And then they'll back off a little bit until we get acclimated to being, the level that they want us to be controlled, and then they'll increase it again. So it's like a frog in water. Turn up the heat, and if you turn up slow enough, you're gonna cook the frog. But if you turn it up too fast, the frog's gonna be like, oh shit, and jump out. So this is what they're constantly trying to do to us. They're constantly trying to slow roll this stuff in, gain power where they should not have power. It's we the people. It's our political system, and if they don't do what we tell them to do, then there should be a way that we can impeach them if they go against what they've gotten into office for. They promise to do this, and this, and they don't do that. If they come in and usurp the laws like your governor's doing, there should be a process where we can come in and you're out and put somebody else in. It should be so quick.
Yep.
I don't know why they've built a system where they can stay in place doing their evil over and over again. We have no recourse.
Yeah, and I think it might be because here in Hawaii, we're actually under occupied military occupation. When the queen was actually at gunpoint, she was at gunpoint to abdicate her throne. She actually did something where she put the islands under military. I don't know if I'm saying the right language around it, but the Hawaiian Islands have not been fully annexed as a state. They are under military occupation by the United States. And I want to say United States and not United States of America, because we can actually talk about that as well. Sure. The United States is a corporation. In fact, let me see. I think I still have that up. 14th Amendment. Yes, I do. So let me show you guys this. The United States is not, it's not what we think it is. And that's the other thing that people don't understand, is that it's actually, it's a corporation. So let me do a screen share and show you guys this really quick.
Yeah, we've been under British military or British rule. We thought that we won the revolution, but they've stayed in there. 1812, we started to get out of line. It came in and spanked us, and then we started getting out of line. So they kind of fomented the Civil War. So this is a constant, we're in a revolution still against Britain, and we need to recognize that, understand that. We need to get finally, and for once and for all, get Britain out of our system.
Absolutely. Can you see this right here?
Yes.
Okay. The United States means a federal corporation, an agency, department, commission, board, or other entity of the United States as an instrument of the United States, not United States of America. This one's my favorite. This is a sworn declaration. When you go on to court and you have to, I swear under the whatever law. But this is really interesting because this says, if your sworn statement, if executed without the United States, I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States of America that the foregoing are true and correct. That's one thing. Then it also says, if your sworn oath is executed within the United States, its territories, possessions, or Commonwealth, I declare to certify under penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct. Those are two separate things. They're not the same thing. I write about this in my third book, which is The Death of Freedom. It won the American Book Fest was it won number one new release on Amazon is The Death of Freedom. G. Edward Griffin wrote the foreword for this book, and I'm super grateful for that. That whole book explains how we've been taken over, how this is why they can do what they're doing. One of the biggest reasons, because they use it under the United States and not the United States of America. Yeah,
a fantastic book. We've talked about that before. Highly recommend that book, because you basically outline, how we've been captured and controlled and manipulated, and how we can overcome that. through the legal process, you start to push back on that. Of course, they're really controlling the judicial across our lands, throughout every state, every county, so forth. 1871, where they came in and made it a corporation. They've incorporated all throughout America, and we have to uncorporate that. We have to, every city, every town, every state has to be unincorporated. So because as long as we're incorporated, they're in control of us. So that's a process that can be achieved, but we have to understand that we have been captured.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say, you guys, if you're watching this, it feels like a lot. It feels like, oh my gosh, how can we do this? But my background is a fitness trainer. Okay. My first book was End Dieting Hell. I'm a fitness trainer. That's my background. And then all of a sudden when COVID happened, I was like, oh, something's wrong. Started speaking out against that. I won't share too much about that because I don't want to harm your channel. But then when the fire happened, I was like, this is BS. And I just started speaking out. That's all I did. And that's what it takes for each one of us. And you're guided here. If you're here watching this, you are the bravest of the brave. Your soul said, yes, I'm going to go forward at this time in history, and I'm going to support truth and the light and the love and the frequency of love. That's one thing I love about you, Jaco, is that you talk about the frequency of love. And in my prayers, I do prayers. There's a prayer at the end of every chapter in Great Maui Land Grab and Death of Freedom, because that is what we need to go toward, the frequency of love and the frequency of aloha, and sending that to these evil leaders. And it's like people go, oh, why are you sending them love? And that frequency hinders the evilness. It's like the frequency of love, that darkness cannot stand in the frequency of love.
Very good. Very good. So, women understand this better than men, unfortunately. But men are warriors, but women are too. You are obviously a warrior of the light. And that's what we need going forward. So like you said, you're a fitness professional, and you wrote a great book. We should even do a show about that separately at some point, because of all the information that you talk about. I've done bodybuilding contests, and sure enough, when you go into those fat realms where you've had things that have happened to you, and they get stuck there, and then you come in to like lose that weight, it doesn't want to go away, and you get all these things happen. So we should do a show separately about that. I know you're deep into that, so that'd be fun.
Yeah, that's emotional trauma. That whole book is called End Dieting Hell: How to Find Peace in Your Body and Release the Weight, and it's all about emotional trauma. Because when I was a fitness professional, I was helping women lose weight, but then they'd gain it back. And I was like, why? I didn't understand why. I was like, why are they want to lose weight? What's going on? And I just started looking into it more. And finally, I realized through what I was researching was it's emotional trauma. It's actually their body feels normal. And here's the thing: their body feels, and it feels like feeling alive, instead of going, no, I'm always kept safe. I know that everything works out for me. This is what I'm doing with the islands, is I feel into the frequency of freedom here. We are free. The governor is no longer the governor. And I feel into what that would feel like. Well, the harmony of all of us uniting together under one knowingness that we are free and live in the spirit of aloha. So it's a different feeling. It's different.
Yeah, I know you've done some of my courses. That's remote influencing. I did that in the worst places in the world that you're talking about. So you can make a difference just with your own frequency and your love vibration, sending it out and so forth, because you're right. These demonic types and these evil ones that are trying to control and manipulate us, you put that love frequency in there and you come in, you're stand strong, and you're like, no more of this. And we're going to change these laws. If you're going to, we have these laws and you're usurping them, and we're not going to put up with that anymore. So you will do away with them. We all have so much power, and they've fooled us into believing that they're the ones that should have the power. They flipped it on us. Yeah.
That absolutely. And the Death of Freedom, one of the last chapters is how the mind can bring back freedom. And it's this way. It's understanding the frequency of your heart and your mind. Your heart is actually, it was the first organ created in your mother's womb. It was beating before you were born. It has memory. It can remember and it can learn. Your heart, and your heart is actually sending signals to your brain more than your brain is sending signals to your heart. And when you actually open up your heart and you combine the two in coherence, that is where it goes out into this field. This is not empty space. This is a frequency. We walk through it every day. And when we connect with other people, there's a frequency that we create together. You know, if we were sitting, it would be different. It would be a different frequency if I was sitting in your living room with you than it is now. And it's really important that we actually have that connection and that physical frequency combined, because that actually creates something else. When we combine our frequencies together, it actually creates a stronger field. Yeah. And this is another reason why there was always 6 feet. Why 6 feet? Your heart goes out 6 feet at least, and sometimes more than that, but a minimum of 6 feet. So they didn't want our hearts to connect at that time.
Yeah, the heart math talks about that. That's really, really good. And then you have the synchronicity that happens between the heart and the brain, and it basically just expands it even more. So like you're talking about, once you have the focus, like we're trying to get everybody to get, and you bring in the love frequency, the heart frequency, and you combine with other people. I saw this with, you know, all the different, you know, special forces groups that I work with over time. You get everybody that's really focused and they believe they can do the impossible. Oh, and there's nothing that can stop you. That's the same thing that, you know, I know you and I have been, you know, trying our best to inform everybody. And wow, that was great. You know, how you tied all that together. Fantastic. Good job.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for this time. And I think that that's why there is an evilness here that we don't understand. And and this is another reason why people cannot fathom that these weather modifications are happening, because they can't believe that there would be that much evil, you know, in our government. And it's hard to believe, and it does change who you are when you finally see it. Because I remember my awakening. I cried for 3 days when I finally realized what happened with 9/11. I couldn't believe it. And then I was like, what do we do? At the time, there was nothing to do, but now there's something to do, you guys. And if you're just watching these, share it. At minimum, share these videos. But what's even more important is check what's the bills coming down through your legislators. Check your general plan. ChatGPT makes it so easy. You have to double check a lot of some of ChatGPT stuff, but it makes it a lot easier than having to read all the bills. It's like, what bills is my county's or your state legislative, are there any bills that are going against the Constitution or that locals should be concerned with? You know, we have bills here. And then the other thing I want to share is this part is what's happening is what's called technocracy. And there's agencies that are literally taking over government organizations. And for example, in Hawaii, our largest revenue is tourism for the locals. That's the largest revenue. And the Hawaii Tourism Authority is under the legislative body, and it's under the Sunshine Law. So it's transparent for people to see what's going on with this agency. There's a bill right now that's trying to be passed that takes the Hawaii Tourism Authority and puts it under a nonprofit board. And this is exactly where freedom is lost, because now people won't see what's happening with the #1 revenue generating agency for locals if this bill passes. So our job is to testify and say, no, do not put this through. This is the technocracy actually idea started in the 30s. Then it went into what's called the Club of Rome, and that was in the 60s, the late 60s. And it's the same idea. It's take these agencies out of legislation and out of the public view and put them into agencies that are board selected by people from, you know, the governor gets to appoint these people. They're not appointed by the public. And now this agency is out of the public view. This is part of what's happening with the smart cities. So our job, your kuleana, we call it our kuleana, look at your legislative body, the bills that are coming through, you guys. That's your responsibility. And I just want to say, the last thing I want to say is that the founding fathers had 3 ideas for government. 3 ideas. 1, keep the federal government small, just big enough to function. When the 16th Amendment went through that allowed for federal income tax, that's when the federal government exploded, because then they had a lot of money. And that was not the dream of the founding fathers. The second goal of the founding fathers was that the government, the legislators, the governor would support and defend your freedom. That's it. The government is not responsible to protect you. They're responsible to protect the nation, but not you as an individual. Their job and what they make an oath to is to defend and support the Constitution. They're supposed to defend your rights and your freedoms, and that's it. And if something gets passed through the legislative body that goes against the Constitution, it is null and void, but only if the people stand up. And that's the third foundational leg of this constitutional government that the founding fathers wanted. And it was for living men and women to stay civically engaged and watch their legislators and make sure that they're doing what's right, what's pono, what's right for the people. Those are the 3 foundations that the founding fathers wanted was small government. The government protects freedoms, not people. They protect our rights. And then the third one is that living men and women stay civically engaged so they can keep an eye on what the heck's coming down the pipe in their area. So that's our kuleana, you guys. That's our job.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've given that up. Their job to watch them and make sure they don't get out of line. Like I said, they fooled us into believing that they had our best interest involved, and so they're going to do the right thing. But no, they don't. They've proven that they don't over and over and over again. So we have to take charge again,
Yep,
and
absolutely.
it starts at the community level. I remember during COVID, you had the mama bears basically came into the schools and like, no more of this BS, and they started taking over these school boards and making them roll back all the stuff that they were doing to the kids, and then it just grew from there. And then eventually, that got shut down. There was supposed to be something much more, much more of a larger control system than it turned out to be, and that's because of the mama bear. So,
Right.
you being a mama bear, basically coming out here for the entire community, helping to push back on this gross overreach of government. It's so gross and so evil. It's beyond belief. And we keep pointing it out, but it seems like there's people that don't want to get involved. But like we're pointing out, if you don't get involved, California, you're probably going to get hit just like Hawaii did, just like we're pointing out. It's a pattern. These people do these patterns to get away with it, and then they're gonna come at us again in another area even more intensely, like they did in California. So now chemtrails, I know you guys covered it in your last show. There's a lot more to the chemtrails, guys, than a lot of us know. There's always multiple things or why they do something. It's not always they're doing it just for this. There's always a multiple thing they're doing. So chemtrails, I believe, and I've had a lot of guests on. I've had psychics and all kind of crazy stuff. Chemtrails are designed to control what's coming from the sun. So the sun is basically, as you guys have seen, is very, very active these days. And I believe that they're trying to mitigate the effects of the sun on our planet. But there's also, negative aspects of, some of that chemtrailing. We've seen some of that. Maybe there's good people doing chemtrailing. Maybe there's bad people doing chemtrailing. I don't know. But we've shown that every flight there is, they have additives in the fuel now that is causing this film over our planet that's causing, and whether it's to keep us dumbed down or whether it's trying to mitigate, what could be earthquake and violent activity on the earth, you just have to take all that in mind. So we don't have all the answers for everything, but and a lot of you guys are like, why isn't President Trump doing something about the chemtrailing? I've seen that for a lot of shows, and people are in this chat too. You just have to be aware there's a bigger picture going on, I believe. So just be observant. Know that there's probably some manipulation going on there, but also could be something positive. What do you think, Michelle?
Yeah, absolutely. A friend of mine who works for national security did tell me something's happening with the sun. And I also feel,
this film over our planet that's causing, and whether it's to keep us dumbed down or whether it's trying to mitigate, what could be earthquake and, violent activity on the earth, you just have to take all that in mind. So we don't have all the answers for everything, but and a lot of you guys are like, why isn't President Trump doing something about the chemtrailing? I've seen that for a lot of shows, and people are in this chat too. You just have to be aware there's a bigger picture going on, I believe. So just be relation going on there, but also could be something positive. What do you think, Michelle?
Yeah, absolutely. A friend of mine who works for national security did tell me something's happening with the sun. And I also feel, again, we're light beings. If you go get the biggest microscope and you stick it in on a cell, you're just going to see light. So something is happening. I'm not really sure, what that is. I recommend to detox as much as often as possible. Also, they don't talk about parasites enough. Parasites are in the gut. They're in your brain. And we need to be detoxing from parasites as well, but definitely heavy metal detoxes and parasite detoxes. I don't know if you do that. I do that on my channel, on my website, Blossom Inner Wellness.
Good.
I detoxes with that.
Let's share that. So there's a lot of great products out there. Of course, Michelle is, she has a fitness background, so she knows. So here's Michelle's YouTube. And also, this is her Blossom Inner Wellness. Yeah, there we go. So you have a lot of great information on here. Your books, detox and body support, like you're talking about, heart restoration. The COVID vax really, really has affected a lot of people around the heart. So you need to get in some of these programs, and it looks like you have some really good ones, Michelle. So great job. And, just go through Michelle's website, In Dieting Hell, like we talked about.
Yeah. That won 4 awards. That was a big award-winning book. That was my first one, bestseller on Amazon. And then it won 4 different awards.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah. All 3 of your books are fantastic. And The Great Maui Land Grab, it's got some insights in there about the directed energy weapon guys that I've never seen anywhere else before. So you really pushed the envelope, Michelle. Great job. Thanks so much for what you do.
Yeah. And thank you for having me. And I just want to say again, you guys, you follow your heart and start taking action, even if it's just one thing, even if it's just going to ChatGPT and going, what on my general plan, put in your county. It's usually your county's the general plan. What constitutional amendment is my county's general plan violating? Just look at it. And then you can contact your legislator, your county council member. That's our job. And it doesn't have to take a lot of effort. And our only job is in our backyard. What's happening with your county? People get, there's so much with the wars. We don't have power over that. We don't have power in the nation, but we do have power locally. That's the only power we have. So get involved, even if it's 10 minutes a day, and then find other like-minded people. When I started, I had nobody, but I just kept speaking out. One, I was so angry. I was so mad around the fire. They burned children alive. They left people without the best warning system in the yard. What's happening with your county? People get there's so much with the wars. We don't have power over that. We don't have power in the nation, but we do have power locally. That's the only power we have. So get involved, even if it's 10 minutes a day, and then find other like-minded people. When I started, I had nobody, but I just kept speaking out. One, I was so angry. I was so mad around the fire. They burned children alive. They left people without the best warning system in the entire world. The entire Maui emergency management system was the worst ever in history of anything. Like the Maui emergency management director had zero management experience and beat out 40 other applicants. Like, I don't even have any words sometimes for the absolute atrocity that happened there. 5 mile long dust screen around the entire perimeter of Lahaina, 12 feet high, and it was actually put up before it was approved. It was $2.3 million. The actual approving of the funds happened 10 days after it was put up. I mean, and it was up for 15 months. For 15 months, there were guards on the entrances to Lahaina for 15 months, and they didn't allow anybody in who didn't have a placard that lived there. And the guard when you pulled up said no pictures and no video. Why? Who is he to say that? We did it anyway, obviously. But like, why is he saying that's like? And they got paid I believe it was $40 an hour just to sit there and make sure people weren't coming in who weren't supposed to come in. I mean, so many questions. That's why the book started with 22 fire oddities. It's on 29 for Maui, 21 for LA, and then it also talks about North Carolina, because that Category 4 hurricane goes 300 miles inland and sits on top of a mountain. You've got to be kidding me. Like, for people not to realize that was an attack on the people, they're either absolutely brainwashed, don't want to look at it, like some family members I have, or in on it. That's it.
So, I mean, that's interesting you bring that up, because the amount of rain that actually fell in Helene in North Carolina was very similar to what happened there in Hawaii in this last storm.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely true. Yeah. And then you can see it's like these storms in the ocean, they're just showing up. They're not coming from anywhere. They just show up right off of the islands. I think it's 100 miles out or something. And there's boats that have that technology. So, I think what we can do, and I'm going to be researching it more, is creating a bill around weather modification technology. And I'm not sure what that looks like yet, but that's what I'm feeling is the next step. And even if that doesn't go through, it at least gives more awareness that this is happening. And that's what we need to do. It's like I kept, at one point I thought I'm going to do this and it's all going to stop. And now my vision and what I feel that I'm doing is I'm just doing this to wake as many people up, and then just trusting the infinite creator that this is going to cause a light flood of action for people, that people will take, even if it's small. One small action. I remember that one story around, there was thousands of starfish that had come onto the beach. And this guy was flinging one at a time. And this other person comes up and says, "What's the point? There's so many." And he goes, and the guy's like, "It doesn't matter what you're doing." And the guy picks up the starfish. He goes, "It matters to this one." And he flings it into the ocean. And it's like, even if it's one small thing, you guys, it will make a difference.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Obviously, you're a strong woman, Michelle. And, in the past, in America, the Native Americans, and in Hawaii, it was a matriarchal system where the women controlled the land, and the men basically supported them. We need to get back to that. We had this evil group that came in and basically usurped that process, and literally married into the Indian tribes, the men, and then started to take over, and then they started passing laws so that the Indians, and then we had the Trail of Tears in America for the Cherokee, all these different things. And of course, they seized the Hawaiian Islands. tragedy for humanity. So we need to really roll this back. So again, thank you so much for what you do. And I hope everyone got super inspired and gets involved from listening to this. Share it widely. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you guys next time.
Mahalo.